Israeli strikes since February 28 have targeted at least 6,668 civilian units. This includes 5,535 residential units, 1,041 commercial buildings, 14 medical centers, 65 schools and 13 Red Crescent facilities. The report also notes that rescue and relief vehicles were damaged and several Red Crescent staff were injured while carrying out emergency operations, highlighting the humanitarian toll of the ongoing conflict. And Commodore Sodhi, I was discussing this with you earlier. You know, glamorizing a war, because as I was speaking to a different guest a while ago, and I was saying that, you know, I've seen the coverage on other media networks, and the way the war is being glamorized, it's being played out as a thriller. And, you know, they're discussing what's going to happen next. But how is it that the toll that it's taking on life, on innocent lives that are being lost, isn't being discussed? What do you have to say for that?
Yeah, that's a very important aspect you have brought out. You see, the losses to civilians are a part of a conflict. But what we have to see is that America has the capability, or Israel has the capability to launch very precise strikes. However, notwithstanding, there have been casualties, and there are a number of civilian buildings that have been attacked. There are civilian people who have been attacked. We also know that in a school, almost I think 50 students, girl students died. So this aspect should be highlighted. It should get highlighted in the various media reports, or what you can say is that on humanitarian grounds too, the U.S. and Israel should be approached to see to it that somehow they come on the table and discuss this issue and do not cause further damage to the civilians, which otherwise, if the conflict keeps going on like this, the damages are going to be huge.
I agree with you, Commodore Sodhi. This is a very important aspect that must be discussed. This is not fun and games, clearly, and with the kind of effects that are being felt across the world when it comes to this. I'll come back to you. Now, Saudi Arabia's air defense systems have intercepted 2 drones. Defense Ministry spokesman Turki Al-Maliki said one drone was destroyed near eastern Riyadh, while the other was shot down in the Rab al-Khali desert when it was reportedly targeting the Sheba oil field. The military confirmed both threats were neutralized, highlighting ongoing efforts to protect critical infrastructure. Mr. Sanjeev Srivastav is now joining me. He's a foreign affairs expert. Mr. Srivastav, the kind of devastation that is happening is one separate point, but of course oil fields are being targeted, and that's going to have its ripple effects across the world. What do you have to say?
Well, I think this will further deteriorate the situation. If oil fields are targeted, we have not forgotten the images and the visuals of Iraq when Saddam Hussein put those oil resources on fire during the Gulf War. And if such kind of situation and scenarios emerge here too, then it will further, deepen the crisis, and it will create a lot of disruptions in the energy supply chains of the global international community. And that's why it is important that the warring sides should exercise some wisdom, some prudence, and they should not do any such actions which further deepens this entire situation and crisis. And I think that that is the need of the hour. And the war is in the 8th day, but in my assessment, the more it goes ahead, the more lives are lost, innocent people are being killed, collateral damages are happening, and now the energy supply chains are stressed out, oil and gas prices are getting impacted. Here in India too, if you saw the LPG prices and oil prices are going up. So I think this entire situation is not in the interest of the global community too. And certainly it will create a kind of a humanitarian crisis for the people of Iran. It will also bother the people of Israel too. So I think that's why, in my assessment, time has come that both the sides should open the path of dialogue and diplomacy, And again, I would like to argue that United States of America has already achieved its big successes in degrading the Islamic regime. The top leadership is eliminated, and according to U.S. President, the leadership which was emerging, that is also eliminated. That's what the U.S. is claiming, and the more the leadership will come, whenever they are coming on front, they might be targeted again. So, and on the other side, if you look at the retaliation by the remaining leadership of Islamic regime, IRGC in particular, they are also not relenting, and they are continuing their attacks here and there wherever they are getting opportunity. So I think this kind of scenarios are very unfortunate, and it shows a very dark situation out there at this point of time. But it cannot continue for long, and it will cause. It is already causing a lot of collateral damages. One school was hit, and more than 160 girls, innocent girls, they had nothing to do with this war. Why is happening? What is happening? What was their fault? So obviously, the humanitarian aspect should not be forgotten by both the sides. That's what I would urge through your channel, and I think it's very important that both the sides should exercise caution, wisdom, and the main point is that both the sides should come to the negotiating table for to have a dialogue and understanding, and if a deal is possible still, then the path should be explored. And as I said, that America and Israel, they have already achieved a lot of their targets, and but now I would certainly say and emphasize upon this that the onus lies on the remaining leadership of Islamic regime, that they must bring about certain changes into their policy approaches towards Israel, towards terrorism, towards their nuclear weapons, as well as the missile program. And unless until they show any constructive signs of bringing about a big change in their policy positions on those issues, I think talks will not go further again, and this kind of a situation will continue. So its time has come when they have suffered the huge losses already. They have lost their top leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. Obviously, this is a completely changed scenario, and this new situation, a new harsh reality which they are facing at this point of time. It's high time this Islamic regime brings about certain changes and gives clear indications that they are willing to come to the negotiating table, and they are willing to change their various policy positions, what they have been having till the time when Ayatollah Khamenei was alive.
Right. I also have Ajay Chandya joining me. Ajay, we're talking about the Israel Defense Forces, which have conducted another wave of strikes across southern Lebanon and the Bekaa Valley. What more can you tell us?
Yes, Israel is continuously carrying out attacks, and this is basically to ensure that they have to target the locations which can be vulnerable for them. And according to Israel Defense Forces, they have shared this that a short while ago, and they have they have identified a missile as well, and they have carried out a fresh wave of attacks on different locations as well. So attacks and counterattacks are taking place, and they say that prior to the strike, steps were taken to mitigate harm to civilians, and including the issue of advanced warning. That is what they have done. But thing is that how things will be controlled, how this is going to be stopped. There is no way out. I think that is showing some